I'm gonna tell you about comedy because people always ask who's the greatest comedian of all time and who's the best comedian of all time. And I have to answer that question with an asterisk. I always say Richard Pryor because Richard Pryor is the greatest. He's had the best career, he's had the best stories, you know, he has volumes of material. Eddie Murphy is the most talented. And so the Delirious special, which, you know, when he had on a red leather suit, he sang, he did impressions, his stories were incredible, he was gut-busting funny. I saw him live twice, and I left that venue with my rib cage sore and my face hurting, and that's what I know, that's the funniest dude I ever seen, and I love Richard Pryor. He's the greatest, flat out, but Eddie Murphy is the most talented. I met Richard Pryor during the Kings of Comedy because when we did the premiere in LA, he was debilitated at that time. He was in a wheelchair, but we all got a chance to, you know, at least say hello and shake his hand. So that's the only time I met him. I saw him live at Star Plaza Theater, and that was right before his condition started to take hold. So he was kind of not on his full square, but it was still great to be in the building and watch him master. I wasn't even doing comedy at the time. I just went to see him, and it was amazing. You know, I have two mentors in the game, and Bernie was a secondary mentor. George Willborn is actually the guy who showed me the ropes in this business, and I found out later in life that we're actually first cousins. I found it out before I started doing stand-up, but he's my first cousin. But he was the house MC at All Jokes Aside, and everybody that came to town, if you were a headliner, you better be able to follow George, and he was the host. But Bernie Mac was a whole nother level. Any comic in Chicago coming up, when Bernie Mac was still in Chicago, you just wanted Bernie's approval. You want him to say that was funny or good hit, or even better, have him let you do his room, which was Miltroneers or the Cotton Club. Bernie would host Monday nights at the Cotton Club, Tuesdays at Miltroneers, how he practiced his game. If Bernie tapped you and say, hey, man, come do the club Tuesday, damn it, you certified. So I had a couple Bernie Mac stories, man. One of the funny stories was I got, once again, networking. I was on it was a dinner cruise on Spirit of Chicago, one of those boats on Lake Michigan, and they had a dating auction. So they were auctioning off people that were like notables in Chicago. I'm the host, but I'm making jokes about everybody that's bid and everybody that's being auctioned off. And this lady was there. She happened to be executive producer of Teen Summit. She had a comedy panel on her show. She invited Bernie Mac, Ellen Cleghorn, might have been David Allen Greer, or somebody else like that, and me. Now, they're all established and famous. Nobody don't know why the hell I'm on this show. But it's because she saw me there and I had done Comic View and it was on BET. Well, this is the first time that I actually had a chance to like have Bernie captive because they put us on the same flights. They put us in the same limo going to the studio. So now Bernie's giving me the one-on-one. Yeah, I've been watching you, Holmes. You're doing your thing. You know, you're coming up in the ranks, baby. You know, blah, blah, blah. But he started giving me advice like, you know, one thing I'm going to tell you, you got to pay your taxes. These dudes on the Def Jam tour, they cash and they checks and they just spending them. Ain't nobody paying their taxes, you know what I'm saying? You gonna look up, watch and see, don't they be broke as fuck, blah, 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 it's Bernie. He said, another thing, don't rush out to Hollywood, Holmes. Hollywood is full of sharks, you know, you'll be a small fish in a big pond. He said, a lot of cats come out to Hollywood too soon and they end up broke or sucking dick. I was like, whoa, like, ain't no happy medium, broke or selling cars, broke or waiting tables, so that's probably why I never went to LA. I think Bernie Mac stopped me from going to LA because he said I was either gonna be broke or sucking dick, and I don't wanna be neither one of them. But that being said, just to have Bernie's like love and appreciation, because eventually his manager, Carolyn Albritton, took me under their wing and he was like, welcome to the family. And he was also on the Kings of Comedy tour. So, you know, we Chicago cats. So after the show, me and him would dap it up and talk about stuff. And that's when he was having this little friction with Steve Harvey. And, you know, he would say little things because Steve had done something. It's all in GQ magazine if you look at the article. And so my thing as the opener was to set the table for everybody else on stage. I opened the beginning of the show on the Kings of Comedy tour, and I opened after intermission. But anytime one of the comics had a topic that I had already touched on, and they'd had to say something like, well, like Damon said earlier, blah, 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 I'll pull it out my show. Well, Bernie noticed me pulling stuff out my show. He said, man, it looked like Steve taking all yours. He's like, you can't have nothing, can you? You know, and I'm not saying Steve Harvey was doing my jokes. Don't put that out there like that. But he was saying that like certain elements that I was using, I would remove. But that's because he and Steve was having that little friction. But Bernie Mac, the realest, the strongest, man, he had big plans. I'm going to tell you, this is a true story, too. I had put together a tribute to Bernie Mac, which was going to be August, I believe, 12th or 15th, the year he died. And I had got an alderman to give us the key to the city and to designate it Bernie Mac Day in the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois. And we were going to do it at the UIC Forum. that same resolution that we were going to use for Bernie's tribute was used at his memorial because he died before it happened. And he had told me his plans because he was planning to do one more tour. He was going to do stand-up and music, but it was going to be his farewell. He was going to film it and do a comedy movie. That was going to be his farewell from stand-up. And he said he was taking me with him. He wanted me to host it, and it didn't happen. So that's another fuck it moment because, you know, my man, he left us too soon. And God bless and RIP, long live the king, Bernie Mac.